But yeah, thank you all so much for being here. I think we can go ahead and start with introductions if everybody kind of wants to say your name, your pronouns, field of study, anything else you would want anyone to know about you. And you can go in whatever order you like.
I can start. Can you hear me? Okay, I'm using my phone audio because my Zoom has not been working correctly. So my name is Dr. Corona. I am a recent, very recent graduate from Iowa State University. Got my PhD in December of last year. And my name, I mentioned already, Dr. Corona. And my field of study, well, I graduated from Human Development and Family Studies. And my dissertation project was on looking at the health and well-being impacts of immigration policies on Latinx families in rural areas.
I can go ahead next. So, hi, y'all. My name's Alexis. I use they, them, their pronouns, and I'm currently a second year master's student in the Student Affairs program. My current studentship is a graduate research assistantship with Dr. Erin Doran. Yeah.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you for inviting me. I'm Daniel. You go by the pronouns he, him, his, and I am a PhD student in my fourth year in chemical engineering department. I work with Dr. Tessonier, and yeah, this is my fourth year in ISU. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ramat and I go by the pronouns she, her, us, and I'm a first year PhD student in electrical engineering. I work with Professor Ratnesh Kumar and I work with machine learning and building algorithms for machine learning. So yeah, nice to meet you all.
Thank you all so much. I suppose I should introduce myself too. I'm Lauren. I use the pronouns she, her, hers, and I am the Director of Diversity and Inclusion for Student Government. And yeah, I'm a senior undergraduate student, not a graduate student, but yeah, I kind of wanted to start off with just like some baseline questions. So obviously the first thing before you go to graduate school, you got to apply. So if all of you or any of you want to kind of describe what the application process looked like for you?
I can go ahead. I didn't share my pronouns. My pronouns is she, her, ella. Just wanted to clarify that. And so for the application process, for me, it was a little different. I was undocumented when I graduated with my undergrad. So I didn't really have too many options available for me to attend any graduate school. But long story short, when I was fixing my documentation status, the opportunity arose to meet the Dodge at my department, Human Development and Family Studies, through a friend that was currently in the department as a graduate student. And so I met her, and it was in that conversation where obviously I said I was interested in graduate school. And I was able to now apply based on my documentation status. And so I actually met people in my department first before even considering applying to the department and to Iowa State again. So that was really helpful. So I was able to learn more about the department, more about, every department has its own politics. So more about the politics of the department and professors and projects that they were doing and anything that was in line of my research interest or topics that I wanted to study. And that's how I ended up being literally it just guided me to do Iowa State again. And because I had a network of support in the graduate program already, I didn't look any further. So I actually met with the Dodge, learned about the program, and I decided this is the place for me. I also had family here. My older brother was here in Iowa, just finishing his own master's degree, and so I thought if I needed any support, he would be readily here for me. So it was the right fit for me. So I only applied to Iowa State University, and I got in, obviously, and finished with my PhD.
I can go ahead next. So similar route to Dr. Maria Corona, of like preparing beforehand. I was actually in a NUF program for my last year of undergrad, which is the NASPA undergraduate fellowship program. So I got to learn about what student affairs was. I got to kind of do a project exploring student affairs and explaining different things. I got to attend different NASPA conferences and really immerse myself in the culture of student affairs before deciding if it was for me or not. And obviously I'm here about to graduate. And I actually only applied to 4 schools, which was a drastic difference from undergrad because I applied to 15 schools. And so I applied to here, University of Denver, Ball State, and then my alma mater. So all in different states as well. And Iowa State was actually my last choice. And so the irony is that when I got to my I-days, my interview days, it was the only interview day I enjoyed. So I went to Ball State's interview days. The day I got my acceptance, I got waitlisted. I literally emailed back saying, take me off the wait list. And they asked if I was sure because I was the first person on that wait list. And I said yes. And then University of Denver was my top school, but I didn't get offered an assistantship to pay for my degree. And private universities are expensive. So, and in my alma mater, I got accepted, but I knew how Fundy worked at my alma mater, and I didn't want to go through that. So it left me at Iowa State, and I was originally working in housing when I started. And I've been through a different assistantships, I had that as well as mentors who went through the grad school process because I am a first-gen student, so I literally never have applied to grad school, don't really know anyone. So I had mentors who helped me throughout that process.
So for me, I finished my undergraduate back in India. I had a couple of research experiences beforehand, but applying to graduate school, as you all know, is a bit of a leap of faith. But you try to be as informed as possible in your decision making as everyone is sharing. Before applying to schools, I researched, I carefully introspected on what my interests are and what I want to be. I think that is a little bit important in terms of what you want your career to look like or what you want to do in 5 years. And Iowa State has, and I'm personally enjoying it right now, like the good research in biorenewables and chemicals. So I applied to other schools as well. Of course, I didn't get admitted in a lot, but anyway, I think it's all for the best because I think this has been a perfect match, and I enjoy the communications that I have with my professors and my fellow colleagues. I think the hardest aspect for me was writing a personal statement or SOP, which they call. I don't know about others, but writing about oneself is probably the most hardest thing which you have to go through in your life. And when you read it again and again, it sounds like. But I was fortunate to have a good support system among my friends who reviewed it constantly and made it better. So my advice for everyone is to start early because and you also have to take GRE and other kind of exams as well, which might delay the process. So in order to lower your stress levels and make sure that everything goes on track, please start early and have a good support system around your friends, professors, and who can give you a good feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. So as for my own experience, I applied as a master's student from Nigeria, and yeah, I wanted to study electrical engineering, and I was majorly interested in control systems. So there are several schools that take that program, and yeah, I applied to several schools, and I got admission to most of them, but yeah, I mean, I chose Iowa State basically because of the ranking, the research. It's a highly prestigious university, and the research is top notch, and it's known, it's known everywhere. It's known worldwidely, and yeah, I basically chose it because it was going to, like, I wanted a research experience, and yeah, so I got here as a master's student. I got here 2 years ago, and while I was studying my master's, like close to the end, I got a new professor that wanted to take me in as a PhD student, and yeah, now I basically do some control and a lot of machine learning. So yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you all for those answers. So, a few of you kind of talked about being able to find support and community within like Iowa State and throughout that whole process. So, can any of you talk a little bit more about how you've been able to find that community and support throughout your time here? Dr. Corona, I think your audio might have cut out, but
Can you hear me now? Yeah, I'm sorry, I was chatting up a storm. So what I was saying is that when I was telling my story, I shared that one of my friends helped me connect with the Dodge here, but then when I entered, she graduated. So it was kind of like the one network that was inside of the school system that kind of was my support system and left. And then soon after I entered, my brother had graduated as well. So it was hard to kind of navigate that. And also as a first generation college student, it's even harder to acclimate to all the things that you have to do on your own. Like you no longer have like a counselor that helps you pick and choose classes, et cetera, et cetera. You really have to do everything very independently. So for undergrad folks that think that they're already doing a lot of things independently, graduate school is even more independence on the things that you choose to do with your schedule, et cetera, et cetera. And so you have to be aware of all these emails constantly coming your way. It was just, yeah, emails, checking your emails was like a major thing. It became a major part of who I was. And obviously now in the professional field, it's come in handy. But it was just a matter of acclimating. And it was just little things like that that would get me stressed out. Like just having 20 emails in one day that I didn't know if I had to get to and respond to, but it was more like administration stuff from the department. That's my real experience as a first generation, college student, and not really knowing what and how this, I needed to navigate the world in there. And so for me, it was important to build networks of support that I could rely on. And I started building some support systems through other affinity groups at Iowa State University. So I started attending events that specifically for the Latinx groups were doing on campus. And I actually attended lots of undergrad events as a graduate student, and that's how I built community and got to know more actually student affairs, Department of Ed, student affairs folks that I got really close to during my time at Iowa State University. So it was through just learning about what events were happening, what events were around my culture, my community, and the people that I was comfortable, obviously socializing, and also other events related to like other communities of color. And so I was able to build a cool, strong, and still till this day, very good friends of a group of folks that supported each other through the finish line, and thankfully we are almost all graduated. It's not just one person missing for graduation, but we all crossed, and it was kind of like that network of support that really helped me through things, not just dissertation writing or research or your TA or RA, teaching assistantship or research assistantship, but it was also like community, emotional, and things that you go through as a graduate student that it's hard, but that you need to surround yourself with people for support, for sure. And so that's the way I did it.
I'm going to go next. So yeah, when I got to Iowa State, I was like one of the 2 African students in the department, and unfortunately for me, I mean, fortunately for me, I guess, I've always known the second person. We've always been like, we went to the same school together and we got here together. And yeah, that was pretty tough for me. Apart from the fact that I was one of the 2 African students, I was probably like one of the 5 Black people that were grad students, and that was very tough. But yeah, it was pretty hard navigating school, like initially. And yeah, we really I initially got close to the International Friendship Connection, IFC, and through that I got to know a lot of people. They've been a huge support system for us, and through that I was able to meet a lot of people. I started attending NSB, National Society for Black Engineers, and yeah, it was pretty nice seeing people that look like me. And yeah, I also go for IEEE meetings, and they've always been good support systems. And also, when I got here, like a few weeks after my first, like a few weeks after I got here, I had a major professor, and he pretty much helped me with the difficult part of school, making each decisions like classes to take and stuff like that. And yes, it went a long way for me. My professor went a long way for me, and yeah, I feel, yeah. So I feel like it's very important to the professor you choose as a grad student is very important to you. And yeah, it could make, or it could go a long way for your success in grad school. So yes, I also go to yeah, I'm also a member of the Muslim Students Community Association, and yes, they always come through for me when I need anything. Yes, yeah, those are the pretty much the support system I have, and it's been fun so far.
I'll go next. So my program is a cohort model. So we take a lot of our core classes together, and we have a group chat. And I got really lucky that my cohort is like one of the few rare cohorts in the program that is majority POC, which is rare for my program, but we have it. So that's been a really good support network. Also, one of my mentors actually did this program, literally had just graduated from the program the year I was applying here. And so he's been a really great help. And lastly, I also echo the advisor, my first advisor, Rosie Perez, helped me through so much. And I remember going every email I sent her was usually when are you free next week so I can cry in your office? um, and I am very grateful for having a advisor that's both a person of color and also very understanding. I think that's one of the good things about student affairs is like there's like a counseling focus in many programs. So like being good with people and all that comes through, especially for you as a student. But those are my support networks specifically.
So for me, I think I spend a lot of time, of course, in my laboratory or lab. So most of my cohorts, I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of friends from different places. We have all, learned about like different cultures coming together, and I think that has been a really fun experience. And I also had, I also met a lot of good friends during when I took classes during the first mandatory classes, core classes, which you have to take. And I think that helped a lot in terms of getting acclimatized to the course material. I also attended certain events sponsored by ISSO, like Dinner with Des Moines. Actually, in my first year, I learned about a good number of restaurants, and you hang out every week with a new set of people. I think I've been remaining in touch with, I've met a lot of great people out there, and I've stayed in touch. And yeah, I think, uh, and also I also did the uh, cultural ambassador program in my first year because I wanted to learn about uh, the experience over here. And I also had a couple of good friends who were paired along with me, and they took me out to restaurants and names, and I think that was pretty fun. So yeah.
Great. Thank you all. I'm glad to hear that you all have good support systems in graduate school and everything. Can you talk a little bit about what the transition was like from undergraduate studies to graduate school and everything like that, and any tips that you might have to kind of ease that transition for students?
I can go first. So for the transition, coming from like I had my undergrad in Nigeria, and the education system is totally different from here. You know, basically you could, yeah, I mean the education system is different. It's just different. There are no, there are like you know, the majority of your grades is determined by your final exam, as it is called here. But basically, you call it exam, and then we call other ones assessment tests. So, and to get to get an A, you have to have about 70 points, which is, you know, totally different from here, where you have to have like 93, I think, you know, most times. So yeah, coming here, I saw the grade points, and you know, I almost freaked out. You know, I freaked out like, oh my god, how am I going to do this? Like 93 is just too much, you know. But yeah, the first semester was rough, you know. Like I mean, I had like 3 years break in between my undergrad and my graduate studies, and yeah, the first semester was, you know, was pretty much rough because I wasn't used to the system, you know. For the first, I think I probably missed one homework that I did not submit, you know. I was like, okay, maybe I can make up with it. I can make it up later. But then I realized, you know, time doesn't wait for anybody, you know. Not like, you know, what I was used to. Time does not wait for you. If you're supposed to submit homework a first week, then you're supposed to submit. Nobody really wants to know, oh, I just got here. I'm still trying to get used to it. So yeah, my advice for anybody would be, take your own work seriously and always ask questions. If you don't know anything, just ask. It's better, you're better off asking than, you know, spending hours trying to figure out how this works, you know. People are always there to help. Yeah, yeah, that came very new to me too, you know. People are always very eager to help. Your professors are definitely there to help you, and they definitely will. And if you need more time to do things, you should probably ask. They'll probably, you know, consider it. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's one of the best things about, you know, studying here abroad. You know, the fact that you have teaching assistants, and then you have your professors, and you can always mail them, and they're always very, very eager to help. So yeah, I'd say take your own work seriously, take your classes seriously, like go to classes and ask questions all the time, you know. Don't if you don't need to spend hours on anything, just, ask and just move on, that's it. Everything is moving fast. Yeah, that's it.
I can go next. I also echo the ask questions, but something that came to mind was also keep your deadlines in mind. That first semester was kind of rough for me, but not. It was more because I didn't keep track of deadlines because I worked in the DOR. And if any of y'all know the DOR experience, then you all know what's like to work in the DOR. And so I was always doing assignments last minute and I was always tired. And I literally, I procrastinated in undergrad and it worked out for me. And then grad school was like, oh, I can't procrastinate as much anymore. Like I remember the first paper I submitted, I got a 7 out of 10 and I literally wanted to cry. And that my teacher ripped my paper to shreds essentially. And I guess the other thing is be ready for feedback. Because I think we're taught to think of feedback as bad, as like you heard, I almost cried when I got my 7 out of 10. Uh, but feedback is definitely okay, and it's good to have. And if I think I would have not gotten the reality check I needed if I had not gotten that bad score.
If yeah, can go next. I think in terms of transition, when I was talking to my friends and recollecting my journey, I don't think it's I mean, at least in my case, like I've worked really hard compared to like what I'm doing in undergraduate and grad school. But what is more harder is the life becomes more independent over here, and that takes a lot of effort and toll out of you because uh, I mean, I think if particularly when you start grad school and if you're doing a PhD, you always have your own project, and everyone's journey is very different, and that becomes a very isolating experience in a sense. Like, uh, and I think someone beautifully put out that if you always need for something, if you don't know something, it's better to ask rather than just wait and trying to figure out stuff. You will save a lot of time, and people would have actually went through the same stuff. So that saves a lot of time, and I think it takes a little bit of time to. At least I come from a place where everything. I mean, it's more of it's not as independent as over here when you come here. Like, so that took a little bit of time to settle in. But uh, other than that, I think one advice maybe I can add is that you will have a lot of like failures in your project if you're particularly doing a graduate research work. But I think the important aspect is to disconnect yourself from what your project is, and like your self-worth or like how good you are isn't connected to how your project is, because a research project is, if it fails, it fails, but that doesn't mean that you are like not good or something. So that takes a little bit of time to come in, and that realization always helped me like come back harder after failure. So uh, I think after 4 years, if I can give a couple of advice, would be that. Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, I always have to check. So I could give a couple of advices. The first thing is get on the habit of checking your email every morning, figuring out that your deadlines as shared before, and figuring out your own schedule. Like, because you have to take care of yourself too. Like, you have to take care of your body. You have to eat. You have to drink water. Like, you have to do those things. And sometimes we forget that in graduate school. We're like, oh, we're just here doing research, and we even forget to have lunch and go home. And you're like, okay, what am I supposed to prepare for dinner, or what am I supposed to do? Like, get on a schedule, because it will just help you. Like, you need nutrition in order to function and do research and go to school and learn. And so that's the number one thing I would say is important. Get on a schedule for your own health. And then the other thing is definitely look into the major professors or staff or faculty at your program or department and get to know them. Also, you can talk to other students about professors, but I would say that with a caveat of also get to know them yourself. So everybody has their own experience with people, so they're gonna make their own assumptions about how they are, if they're tough, if they are X or Y or whatever. So make your own assumptions by building relationships and getting to know faculty members one-on-one, especially if you're interested in their research topic. But just know that you don't necessarily, especially in the social sciences, more so than I would say the technical sciences here with engineering and such. So, but for example, for me, my major professor wasn't an expert on my topic. My major professor was an expert on my methods, on my design, but not on my topic. I was doing specifically immigration policy and health and well-being of Latinx immigrants, and that was not her field, but she's definitely an expert in the methodology that I use for my research, right? But she was an excellent mentor. She helped me through. Like, if it wasn't for her, I don't think I would have made it out. She was what I needed, and what I needed was someone that had me on a structure kind of thing, like always having us check in every week about what am I supposed to be doing in terms of my dissertation project, and how I can also include some of my classes and the work that I was doing for my classes into my research for my dissertation, which goes to my third or fourth tip, which is when you are in graduate school, you get to do these, core requirements for your department, but also get electives within your department or even outside of your department that build you and your knowledge for your dissertation. And so every class that I had, and I was able to do this because my brother went through his master's and he gave me that tip, like, use the classes that you have to build on the topics that you really want to dive into later for your thesis or for your dissertation. So every single class that I had, I will connect it to my interest research. And that's how I was able to build more readings. I was doing reading for my class, but eventually these readings will serve me to write my dissertation. And so that's one tip that I will also say. It was very useful for me, and I was able to obviously apply it when I was writing my dissertation. And then I think that's it. I think those are some of the main tips that I would give everybody.
Thank you all so much. That was all really good advice. For someone that is planning on continuing education after college, that was all really good to hear. But kind of going along with the whole advice thing, what is like one thing that you wish someone would have told you going into graduate school?
One thing that I wish someone would have told me is that even till the last day of your either master's or dissertation, you can change your program of study committee. Even the day before you defend, you can change it. So just know that you're gonna have to build this committee that reviews your final work, either your thesis or your dissertation for your master's or your PhD. And so you don't have to, if the relationship between that you and that committee member didn't work out to be the best, it's not supportive in your work or you as a student, you can certainly let them know that you no longer need them to be part of your committee and that you're going a different route. Obviously, don't burn any bridges if you don't have to, but you can certainly choose who is your support system. And that is probably a second thing that I wish someone would have told me, is that you don't need to have a committee. It certainly is super helpful to have committee members that can give you references, reference letters when you get out of school and that are really connected in the field. That is awesome. But if you are a person that actually needs, instead of that instrumental support, if you are a person that actually needs more emotional support, more support in other areas of your PhD or master's journey, then look for those faculty members that are supportive in those areas for you. So build your committee so that it can lift you up and they can support you, not so they can add more stress to you. That's one tip I would definitely shout out to all my committee members because all of them were awesome, just FYI.
If I can go next. So I think this I will say with happiness rather than like when you say advice, it's mostly like things I could have done better. But I've seen many of my friends who also started the PhD journey. We all, I think, share one common aspect that you're at least in grad school, a lot depends on how your advisor is and the mentorship style. So always I've seen my friends who, when you come into grad school, you are filled with energy and you wanted to do great things over here, which is true for everyone. But during a 5-year time or even more than that, it's a long journey and you have to deal with the same kind of like person. So always before starting with joining a potential group or potential program, please try to talk to colleagues, try to ask as many questions to your potential advisor and be more honest about like, hey, what is your mentorship style going to look like? Like, what is your expectation from me? And then constantly introspect on like what kind of person you are. Some people require a constant pat in the back, like saying that, okay, I mean, yeah, you need to get this done. You need to get this done. While some are more independent, like, okay, I can do things on my own. So the match between how you are, who you are, and what mentorship style really matters, because that can actually burn bridges along the way if it doesn't, if you aren't following the set of expectations which was set initially. Fortunately for me, I am somewhere in between. Like I need like sometimes someone checking on me like, hey, how are you doing? And my advisor is exactly the kind of person, and I was able to get that from the conversation. So initially, I mean, I've heard people saying that, okay, I mean, this person is very like, he wants constant progress and everything. And it may seem like really good at initially and think that, okay, I can do it, it's fine. But during a 5-year run with such kind of expectations constantly, and if, let's say, if your project doesn't go well, you need someone on the other side to understand that. So please, I mean, talk to people, talk to your colleagues, talk to the group members, and try to get a vibe. And definitely, if you take them out, I mean, of course, you cannot take them out for coffee during COVID times, and trying to talk to them, they will tell you a lot more about stuff. And in a way that can help you gauge like whether this person is right for you and this program is right for you.
Yeah, I can go next. I think what I would have loved someone to tell me would have been the fact that I don't have to know everything. I don't have to know everything. I just have to be willing to learn. Like when I got here, I had impostor syndrome, and it felt like everybody knew something, and I was just there like, what's happening? Like, I was lost. I was really lost, and and I kept looking at people like 40-year grad students, and then when they talk and they're in the class with them, and then they speak confidently, and and they're like, would I ever get to this stage? I mean, as I've been here for almost 3 years, and what I've realized is that you don't really have to know everything. As you're progressing, you start to know things better, right? And yeah, I mean, you get there, you also get there, you also get there. It might start out rough, but yes, as you progress and your willingness to learn, as you utilize your willingness to learn, you start to feel more confidence in the room too. So yes, You don't have to know. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to, you don't have to be, Yeah, that's just it. I'd have loved someone to tell me that. So, yeah.
And I'll go next. My would be probably, you don't have to do everything. I remember undergrad me felt like I had to prove that I belonged. And I think that followed me in the beginning of my grad school journey, and I was trying to do everything. And at some point, someone just told me, well, you already got in, so why do you have to keep proving? And so you don't have to do everything, I know undergrad is all about like getting really involved and like doing the classes and like having all-nighters. And while there's certainly stuff like that in grad school, you don't have to do it all the time. You deserve sleep. You deserve to not burn out. And so you don't have to do it all.
Awesome. Thank you all for more really great advice. That was pretty much, you pretty well covered a lot of the questions that I had. So I'll take the last like minute or two to, if any attendees have any questions, or if any of you have any last words of wisdom that you wanted to get in.
I'll wait for questions, but I just want to say that imposter syndrome is a real thing. I had it until the very last conclusion paragraph of my dissertation. Chapter 5 for me was where it hit me the most, and I was already in the finish line. So just FYI, it's a real thing. First gen college students of color, students in any powerful yet further marginalized identity, it's going to be there for you all the time. But get through it. You are there. You made it. You got inside the system. Now you can do as much damage as you want with it. Use your tools that you have to support your work, the topics that you're interested in, and getting through. You belong. So that's the one thing that I would like to say. At the end of the day, you belong, and your work matters. Is important, and so you gotta keep fighting through that imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I guess if we don't have any other questions, I guess I want to say thank you again to all of our panelists. You gave some really great advice, and thank you so much for sharing your experiences. And I know this is really helpful to me, and I know that this will be very helpful to other students as well. So thank you so much. And if anyone has any last words that they wanted to get in, feel free to do so now. But if not, yeah, thank you for coming, and you're free to go if you need to go. But yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, of course.
Bye.
Bye.